Once again, compliments of the season to you, our ardent viewer within the shores of this country and of course in diaspora. My name is Egusa Agbulao, your anchor on the program 60 Minutes Nigeria. On today's edition of the program, we'll be taking a very, very critical look at a statement credited to President Muhammadu Buhari, and that has to do with the 2019 election, where he promised Nigerians and of course those who are also contesting elections of a credible and fair election. He actually did that. President Buhari gave the assurance in Jos at the graduation ceremony of the Senior Executive Course 40 2018 of the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, KURU. He gave the assurance of a credible and fair election. In other words, Mr. President is not scared. So, we'll be looking at that comment as it relates to the 2019 election. We'll be looking at some other factors that will determine a free and fair, credible elections. Also on the program today, we'll also be looking at a very disturbing trend, one that has landed a professor in prison for 2 years. We'll be looking at sex for mark grade, sex for grade in tertiary institutions, rather. How do we curb it? So, curbing sex for grade in tertiary institutions. And we'll be looking at the case study of Professor Akindele. Joining me for the program today, I have with us the President of Unity in Democracy, a pressure group which advocates for good governance for Nigerians and is making waves. We have Ehiralua Andrew. Nice to have you on the show.
Compliments for this season.
Okay. We also have with us a regular face and, of course, an intellectual, a legal practitioner, and a law lecturer with the University of Benin, Barrister Boegbe Edo. Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. So, we'll start with the 2019 election. The President Muhammadu Buhari, has given the assurance. Do we take him by his words? We'll get the thoughts of the President of the Unity in Democracy, a pressure group which advocates for good governance in Nigeria. Will you take the President's words just like that?
Well, first and foremost, I want to say, Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari is not in the position to be answering Nigeria if the election will be free and fair. I think he's just trying to be a democratic leader because, to me, he's a candidate like every other candidate for this election. The principal people that takes charge of election is the INEC. Look at the name, Independent National Electoral Commission. If actually INEC is actually independent, like they said, then what is President Muhammadu Buhari's assurance got to do with the election? What the institutions we should be asking if this election is going to be free and fair is the INEC and the security agency.
Okay.
They are in charge of the elections. You understand? And if Mahmoud wants this election to be free and fair, the INEC chairman,
okay,
it behoves on him to make it a free and fair. And it is not free and fair. Don't hold Buhari responsible. Hold Mahmoud, the Professor Mahmoud, that is in charge, and the security agencies. Because for me, if you look at it this way, President Muhammadu Buhari is a candidate of a party. And let me tell you how politics play when it comes to elections like this. It is even the governors that should be answering these questions, not even Muhammadu Buhari. Okay. Because on that day, Muhammadu Buhari will be in Katsina, in his own state. In Daura, trying to deliver his own state. Okay. Because this time around, it's everybody to your own. Go ahead and deliver to your tent, Israel. Every governor go and deliver your state.
Okay.
And you know that a governor is in charge of security of his state. And the commissioner for of police is under the governor. The governor is the chief security officer. So it behoves on the governor to make sure he delivers his state. So that maybe if the party wins, fine. When you are going to Abuja to ask for something, the president will ask you, my friend, did you deliver your state? Why are you coming here? The president is busy, cannot see you. You couldn't deliver your state. So it is the governors that we should be posing these questions to, not to President Muhammadu Buhari, to say if it's going to be free and fair. Obviously, as a democratic president, we assure you that it's going to be free and fair. And let me tell you, on that day, you see governors putting pressure on their senatorial leaders, the local government chairmen. You know, it is hierarchical. Okay. In politics. Yeah. If you're able to deliver your local government, fine. If you're not able to deliver your senatorial district, fine. And all that. So everybody's to the units. Okay. So by the time we lose, you now come, governor want this, my friend. Did this man deliver his unit? Then leave my office. If I didn't win, will you be here? So everybody will not.
But don't you think the reason why Nigerians are interested in the comments of the president regarding his pledge to ensuring a credible election is because so much power is vested in the president, and it is also believed that the president can determine results, can determine what the outcome of any election. Don't you think it's important for him to give that assurance? And we also saw a recent event that played out where a former head of state, Salome Abubakar, actually ensured that the presidential candidates of different parties signed a peace accord, because, you know, he knows that if the president, President Muhammadu Buhari, participates, that actually gives credence to the fact that it will be a peaceful election. Don't you think the president is very important?
I know, of course. Yeah. In the African context, no, the president is very, very important. But I'm trying to let you know that
the way politics
is supposed to be played theoretically.
Okay.
In situations like this, it has nothing to do with any presidential candidate of any party. But in Nigeria, like you said, yes, the president has a great influence on how the outcome of the election is going to be. You understand what I'm trying to say? But that being the case, President Muhammadu Buhari should borrow a leaf from the past president.
Okay, his predecessor.
Yes, predecessor, President Goodluck Jonathan.
Okay. So, Mr. Andrew, we'll come back to you. But let's get the thoughts of Barrister Edogogo. Do you differ, or what's your take regarding the comments, the assurance given by the president?
Well, looking at past events and the happenings that have been taking place in Nigeria, Nigerians are used to hearing promises. We have had a plethora of promises from this present administration, but the promises are not on par with the results. We have had promises to curb corruption. We have had promises to fight insurgencies, but Nigerians are still suffering. They still remain where they are. So, for me, it's not new. Nigerians are used to promises. Politicians are used to making laudable promises that will make people adhere towards them, will make people want to vote for them. But at the end of the day, their actions, are they in line with their promises? Now, President, is only normal. President cannot come and tell you, oh, this election, we are going to do it, do or die. As a democratically elected president, it's only normal. It's a natural statement in Nigeria. It's only maybe in well-advanced countries you can actually hold them responsible for their statements, because over the years they are proving to stand by their statements. But in Nigeria, you can hardly hold any president responsible for his statements until the actions play out otherwise. So if he says he's going to have a credible election, it's only a normal statement. Be that as it may, say you are promising Nigerians a credible election. What machineries have been put in place to enable credible elections? If the present machinery for elections is still what we had last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when Nigerians have been weeping and wailing under the act of rigging elections, and then based on the same machinery, the same terms and conditions, you are promising us a credible election, I feel it's just merely wishful thinking. If you want in 2019, which is just a few months from today, to have credible elections, what machinery have you put on ground? We have heard that so much money, so much money has been put into this election, but there are some pivotal factors that when you put them in place, you'll be sure you have credible elections. Why can't we copy or borrow a leaf from what happens in foreign countries, developed countries? Why don't we have electronic voting? Is it impossible for us to advance to that level where you are voting, you are watching your votes count on the screen? Let's see machineries on ground, because in Nigeria, elephants can fly. So many things can happen. At the end of the day, many Nigerians, their spirits are watered down. They are no longer interested in voting because they believe at the end of the day, their vote will not count. So except we put clear machineries, effective machineries on ground, different from what we have been operating over the years. Because over the years, whenever there's an election, there is always cry. There's always complaint. That's how you see the election petition tribunals. It will continue year in, year out, because people are aggrieved. Because in the eyes of the ordinary man, they feel, oh, this election was not conducted freely and fairly. So what machinery are you putting on ground to see that we have free and fair elections? INEC has not changed. The security agencies, you have not done anything to change their output or their outlook towards conducting elections. So you cannot just tell us credible elections without putting enough machinery on ground to implement it. Okay,
thank you, Barrister Dogo. We'll come back to you, but we'll just take a break now. And after this break, our other discussants, a former local government chairman, will be joining us. So we'll get the nitty-gritty of the political scenario ahead of this 2019 election. Okay, nice to have you back. We're actually looking at a very, very crucial issue as the Nigerians prepare for the forthcoming general election, and that will be in 2019 already. The youth-tide is about abating, and we'll be looking at the new year. And once we're in January, we're looking at the presidential election, 16th of February, 2019. Just joining us is a former Oredo local government chairman and also a regular face on this program, Bajumo Ogiva. Nice to have you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll go straight to you.
Yes.
You've been a serving chairman of a local government, so you really know how elections are held and how elections can be credible, even your local government. Is it not possible for a local government chairman to determine election? Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has assured Nigerians that the 2019 election, presidential election precisely, will be fair, will be credible. Do you take him for his words?
No. You know, it's a shame when the indigenous, the citizens of a country can't really trust their own president. You know, we're in a country, the largest black population in the world, and yet we have a president that is not credible. He don't keep his word. How can we expect a credible election when the president would go to any length? When I say any length, when it becomes a do or die that he must retain his power, how can it be credible election?
Okay, but so far, I disagree with you. Okay. The president is credible in the sense that he has actually empowered the relevant security agencies to ensure their security. He has his words is his bond. That's what he said.
Yes. Which security agent did he empower when he put his own people that are loyal to him, in power? I don't have nothing against his party. I don't have nothing against the president as a person. It's just that his method and the way of governing, you know, makes me sick to my stomach. You know, why can't there be credible election? If it's a matter of do or die, will he have come in as a president? Jonathan was a president. If he wanted to do anything, go to any length to retain power, Jonathan would have still been a president today. You know, when you are trying to retain power by any means necessary, how can there be credible election? That's almost impossible, talking from both sides of the mouth. No disrespect to his party. It doesn't matter which party rules. Nigeria is at a point where we need a leader that will actually lead us. When you have a leader that is self-centered, everything is about him. I was a local government chairman. I could have put my wife as the vice when the position was open. I could have put my brother as the secretary of the local government. I could have put my cousins, all my family into power.
Your children.
My children. Who will stop me? But look, that's what the president is doing.
No, the president.
Yeah, come on. His brothers, his cousins, everybody around him. People that were looking for 200 naira in 1995 to take taxi. Today they are billionaires because they are related to the president. They have to run the country. Are you telling me that you support the way the country is being run today? Are you telling me that you love the Nigeria we have today? Please tell me. Answer. You say he's doing everything. You love the country we have today.
I want a better Nigeria.
That Nigeria is now the poorest of nations. When we are actually blessed with oil. The richest, the biggest brain in the world are Nigeria. The best mathematicians are Nigeria. The best doctors all over the world. The Americans use Nigerians and doctors. The best doctors are Nigerians. I know it because I was there. I live in Longala. Let anybody challenge me. The greatest doctor in Longala at one time was Onibeki, a Nigerian, a woman. These people, if we run our country, they will be happy to come back home. But everybody running from there, even if we have one to run away too. And you say, credible. What is going to be credible about the election? Let's call a spade a spade. We hope and pray that God help this country. Because we don't have any other country. This is our country. It's what we live for. This is the country. The way we lead our country is what we're going to live for our future generation. If this is how our grandfather, our forefathers led this country, where will you and I be today? Will we be on this show? Will there be a show to be on? Are you telling us that Nigeria is going better? It's better off today than it was when we had an independence? Does anybody argue that fact?
Thank you, Bajum. I can see the emotion involved. His comments are laden with emotion. And it's because he wants a better Nigeria. He wants a Nigeria that he can be proud of. Well, we'll go back to the president of the pressure group that we have, Unity and Democracy, is the president, a pressure group which advocates for good governance. And that's what Bajumo is clamoring for, good governance. 2019 election, Andrew Igalua, Barrister Eboigbe made some very weighty statements. She said, what factors are on the ground to convince Nigerians that the election will be credible? Do you differ to what she has said?
I don't want to differ from what she has said. Okay. She has actually said it because if you actually say, oh, there's going to be credible election come 2019, like she said, what are the machineries? Is it that so thing has to change from this to this? Okay. Like what she suggested, open voting, whereby the whole world will be seeing you, where you are casting your vote. Electronic voting, where you are casting your vote.
But the Electoral Act has not been signed.
But who didn't sign, Mr. President? Okay. If you want a better Nigeria, you want Nigeria to move forward, any suggestions that have to do with upliftment of the country, you quickly buy the idea and carry everybody along. Because your signature alone matters on certain issues. But if you refrain, then you are dragging us back. The Electoral Act that he was asked to sign, if you look at it very well, it's a clear development of the fact that with those adjustments in the electoral system, Nigeria would have moving a step ahead from where we were now. But he refused to sign. That means there's a hidden agenda somewhere.
Nobody explains.
That. What was the explanation? This thing has been, for like 2 years now, this amendment has been going on. Why must you refuse to sign such act that will, uplift Nigeria from where we are to the next level? But to me, that is just the character of any normal African leader. I don't know what it behoves on them that when you are in power, it's like it affects their sense of reasoning. They don't reason right again, they reason backwards, and what you expect from them is not what you get. But when they are campaigning, you say, oh, this is the Messiah. Before Buhari came into power, people will say, oh, this is the person that will take Nigeria from where we are now to the next level. Oh, let Buhari come in. Let me tell you, Nigeria is at peace now because President Muhammadu Buhari is in power. Okay. If he had not won that election, even you and I would have called for the crucifixion of Jonathan. Because everybody felt, oh, we are tired of PDP, we are tired of Jonathan, let Buhari come, with that anxiety that Buhari will make a change. That was why he was voted for, and he came in. But look at what we are getting now. Segregation. It's like we only have the Fulanis in Nigeria now when it comes to, giving out juicy appointments. Look at all the security outfits. Check them. They are not just Northerners, but they are Fulanis. But I think in the Constitution it's written there that certain position has to be on quota. And that is what President Obasanjo was fighting against. When he brought his, the list of his security chiefs, they were all Fulanis. But Obasanjo now said, no, this thing is spelled out in the Constitution that certain positions have to be on quota system. You have to go around Nigeria. But being as a president, it has the prerogative to say, no, I won't follow the Constitution, I will do it my own way. But it's wrong. It brings about disunity and distrust. It's like you are speaking from one side of the matter and doing something else. That was not what he campaigned for. So, I don't know. We'll just wait and see and wait for the outcome of the election before we start crying.
Let's get the thoughts of Barrister Ibrahim.
Well, you know, in Nigeria, it's like you have been doing something previously and you have been getting a particular result.
Yeah.
Now we are still doing the same thing that we have been doing and we're getting a particular result. Now we are expecting by some miracle to get a different result. It doesn't work like that. Other nations, great nations, have put in practical efforts to make sure that there are changes in their system. Nigeria, we have been conducting elections in this same manner, with this same machinery, and we have been having complaints of rigging, electoral malpractice over and over again. Even within the parties, in their primaries, we have had so many complaints, so many uproars from the members of the parties about electoral malpractice. Yet we want to still use the same method and we expect to achieve a different result. We cannot achieve a different result. And it's very sad because Nigeria is at a crossroads. Things are getting from bad to worse. Life in Nigeria is becoming largely unbearable. Nigerians are fleeing in mass. Those that cannot flee are lamenting. We need a change. But we have not done anything differently to bring about the change. If the president, as he rightly said in his statement, he wants to ensure credible elections, for heaven's sake, what stops him from passing the Electoral Act? This is now doing something different. What stops him from taking a different step to show to the world? Because it's not just enough to say you want to bring about credible elections. You are not doing anything differently rather than just making a mere promise. And in this same Nigeria, we have experienced so many promises. What stops him from passing the Electoral Act? If President Goodluck Jonathan, who was selfless enough to bow down, he had all the power then to hold on to power, but he allowed himself to quietly leave the beautiful position so that Nigeria can move ahead. Now we are saying, pass this Electoral Act. Let's see commendable efforts on your side that we have free and fair election. Because I feel just making the same machinery the same way it has been done, you are spending billions of naira and you are telling us we get something different, when the same actors are still the ones playing in this election, the same factors of desperation. Nigeria is known for politics of desperation because of the gains of holding on to power. Nothing is being done differently and we want to expect different results. I say that our National Assembly members, our political elites, our top-ranking military officers should come together now before it gets too late to see that things are done differently, because Nigeria is at a crossroads. We cannot continue like this. All the vices you are seeing in the society is practically a breakdown or a pivotal factor showing that the government is failing. These are factors in a failed system where you have so much corruption, you have so much crime, you have so much impunity. If you don't do something differently now to secure 2019 election, Nigeria may get to a worse stage that we are already in presently.
Thank you very much, Barrister Dogogo. I will get to Gbajúmọ̀ Ogiva. What do you think the government should have done to convince you that the 2019 election will be credible?
If he had signed the Electoral Act,
okay.
You know, I told my friend, it could still be done. It's not too late. You know, if we say we want change, we have to take a bold step to come about change. You know, he sit down behind, I'm going to do everything possible to be the credible election. What are you doing? You are the president, you have all the powers. You are telling us you are going to do, I will. The election is less than 2 months. When are you going to do it? On election day? Give me a break. You understand? When you have people who think they could say they are smarter than the country that they govern, this is exactly what happens. You tell you what you want to hear. I will do everything possible to get a credible election. What are you doing? You have a team of cabinet. What are they doing? You will, after the election.
Okay. Now, for INEC, the umpire,
yes.
Do you think they're also getting it right? We understand INEC has already said they will still use the same devices that they used in 2015. So do you think INEC is getting it right in their own preparation?
Like Madam just said, you keep doing the same thing and expect different results. By and large, 1 + 1, if you ask in Nigeria, is 2. If you go to China, it's 2. Go to India, it's 2. I don't know how you think 1 + 1 will change. If you want a different result, you have to bring different machinery. You have to do it differently. We know what to do. They are blindsiding everybody by telling us it's going to be a different result. Even the INEC know what to do. I do not want to come to, I'm not coming here to backlash anybody. Yeah. But the truth has to be said. This is our country. We don't have no other country. This is why we're in this position, because nobody wants to say nothing. This one will tell you is my brother is there, my cousin is there, it's my wife that is there. But by and large, if your wife does something at home, you could chastise her, but which is the position you can't. This is our country, for crying out loud. Let the leaders of INEC do the right thing for a change. Okay. If they are hearing us, please, let's put our country forward for a change. Put our country first. Let's do the right thing. It doesn't matter who will lead. Let there be change. Let there be difference. Let Nigeria to be put forward first for a change. That's what we are saying.
Thank you. Andrew, is there, maybe you have some issues that you thought ought to have been done to convince Nigerians that the president meant what he said in a credible election?
Well, not until a Nigerian will resign from a juicy position because of what he has said or what he has advised the government to do and they are not doing it, I want to resign. Not until they start doing that, we are going nowhere. Because an average Nigerian thinks of his stomach and his family, not thinking of the general people,
good of the people.
When you are in a juicy position with fleet of cars, maids and all that, with siren, then you want to advise the president, and if the president does not take that your advice, you are gone. I remember in America, Mike Powell, when Bush was about going for Iraq war, Mike Powell advised, no, let us not. He was the Secretary of State then. He said, no, President, let us not go for this war. Bush insisted, and he resigned honorably and left the government because he knew the outcome. What happened? So, in Nigeria, that is why we don't have good leaders. It is the people around him. They are all sycophants. They want to tell the president what he wants to hear. If you tell him, they will discuss with the president, whatever the president says, oh, yes, 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 your guys like that. Yes, yes, yes. They can never correct a leader. So, there are some positions you are in a tight corner. You need people to tell you the truth. And maybe you will take or maybe not. But tell this man the truth. Even if he doesn't take, he will remember, oh, Mr. Johnson told me. But Nigerians are not ready to tell you the truth. Instead, they keep pushing you into the ditch so that you swim and sink inside that ditch. That is an average Nigeria for you. They will tell you what you want to hear. I cannot imagine. I look at Okorocha, governor of Imo State. I keep asking myself, does he have relatives? Does he have real friends? Don't they advise this man? By governor. You want to leave governor to Senate. From there, your son-in-law will be governor. Your own daughter will be first lady. And you are still put to that decision. And you think that's the best decision. Let me tell you, some people even said, yes, okay, you can do it. You can do it. Why is it not possible?
But let me quickly interject there. Now, the persons you have just mentioned now, the Imo State scenario, and don't they have the rights to be voted for, to aspire, because they are related to the governor?
No, fine. It is not in our constitution to say your child or your son cannot go for any position. Yeah. But if you are human, can't you think right? This is politics. This is a political party. Okay. We have so many people in the party looking for positions. You just left as a governor. You want to go to Senate. They are not disputing that. Okay, let somebody else go for governor. You say, no, it must be your son-in-law. Doesn't it make sense?
Maybe he's the most qualified.
Oh, okay. And what has it ended? You see when I say sycophants, okay, your son is the most qualified. Go. When I say sycophant, this is what I'm talking about. So who to tell the governor or the president the truth is rare. They won't. And that is why we are where we are today. But when they leave power, if you see Jonathan now, most times when he makes some statement, oh, I regret not doing this. I regret not doing that. Those things that he's regretting about, people asked him to do it, that nothing will happen. But after leaving power, it's like when you are in the stage, you don't see yourself dancing. You'll be dancing, you think you are dancing right. But when you now come out, you are watching your video, you know that you were moving wrong steps.
Thank you, Andrew. Let's get Mr. Edogogo. Yes, you explicitly said certain factors need to be on the ground. What do you think should be on the ground?
In my opinion, the first thing is to pass the Electoral Act. The president should assent to it. Then secondly, the world has gotten to a very great stage in terms of technological advancement. Almost everybody uses a computer in the form of Android phone. We should have electronic voting so that Nigerians in the country and Nigerians in diaspora can vote electronically. Then those that want to line up, they can line up. Until we start to take measures like this to ensure that there's electronic voting, people can watch as the results are being collated on their screens. We cannot have credible elections, because as far as people go and line up, there will be intimidation of voters, there will be vote buying, there will be stealing of ballot boxes, and the world has developed far beyond that level of people going to cast their votes manually. We should have electronic voting so that the educated ones or everybody that is enlightened can vote electronically. Then the old people that are not used to this electronic system of voting can go and line up. Then when we have machineries like this, everybody can watch it, so that if for any reason you end up discovering that it's 500,000 people that voted for this party and later they come and announce it's now 200,000, it will be clear to the whole world. It will be difficult to read. But when people now vote, they count it in process of counting. I'm not there, you are not there, nobody is there. Overnight they come out and give you anything.
Well, they have party agents.
Party agents start to try, they go to court, and at the end the result is still the same.
Some party agents cannot even defend their results.
In that, with that system, that
when it comes
to those school systems, as if they are targeted at achieving mischief. If you want to be credible, do it, let the whole world be seen. We all use our phones to pass, send emails abroad, chat to people abroad. Why can't we use it for voting? And funds is not the issue, because we are putting so much money into these elections that we can actually have electronic voting. But because of the mischief we want to achieve, we find it difficult to bring this factor to play.
Thank you very much, Barrister Edogogo. I also want to thank Eyalua, Andrew, and of course, Bajumo Ogiva. But we have another issue to look at, and we'll just move straight to that. It has to do with curbing sex for grade in tertiary institutions in Nigeria. You recall a former lecturer with the OAU, Obafemi Awolowo University, Professor Akindele, has been sentenced. He actually pleaded not guilty when he was brought to court, when he was arraigned. But later he changed his plea to guilty plea, and the judge sentenced him to 24 months, that's 2 years in prison. We'll start with the lecturer with us. What's your reaction to this judgment? We'll start with that. Barrister Edogogo.
Well, in my view, it's a landmark judgment, it's a laudable judgment, and it's victory for women empowerment, women's rights. At the end of the day, it shows that as a woman, you have a right to your bodily integrity, and if you take the necessary actions, your bodily integrity will be protected. Because generally, I feel the problem with students in the first place is lack of enlightenment. They are so scared of lecturers. They see lecturers as mini gods, but that is not the position. These lecturers have been put in place for your sake. Without students, you will not have lecturers. So if a lecturer decides to intimidate you, to threaten you that either you have sex with him, or you do something with him, you will not have. You as a student, you will have a right, a legal right as an individual and as a student to challenge that position of the lecturer. And this judgment is highly laudable, and of course, it's an example. It sets an example to other lecturers, other male lecturers that have been involving themselves in this kind of mischief. That the long arm of the law will be cut off with them, and then with the new form of technology, any lecturer that decides to play this kind of very dangerous and mischievous game, he will actually be caught and apprehended. So it's a welcome development that no matter how high a lecturer is, he will not be protected if he's actually found guilty of harassing his female students.
Thank you very much. Majuma Ogefu, I will go to you. You've traveled a lot, yes. And you are not, it's not new to you, sexual harassment and all that. Now, with this kind of judgment, don't you think probably Professor Akindele thought that his colleagues would protect him? Probably, maybe something like that would be happening, but surprisingly, this really came to the fore.
Well, with a judgment like this, first of all, we thank the judge, you know, for sentencing him. You know, we have to learn to punish when people do wrong, you know. But most of the time, we give them a slap on the wrist. But come to think of it, in the Western world, it's different. Whether a student, a lady, even your wife, when she said no, and you insist, she'll call the police and you'll be arrested even if she's your wife. And when the police come and say she's my wife, they ask you, what did she say? At first, she said no. Then, she said no at first. At what point did no become right? Yes. What part of no don't you understand? Is it the N or the O? When a woman says no, they have the right to their body is no. Whether she's a student, whether she's your girlfriend. But in this part of the world, you know, it's kind of different because we make it so. Not because it's supposed to be so, because we make it so. Whether it's your professor or your boyfriend, nobody has the right to a woman's body unless she agrees. You know? Yes, a lot of students don't study and they offer themselves to professors. But, you know, it's like an adult. If you have a younger one, a teenager that wants to sleep with you, you should be able to use your own sense to say, this girl don't know what she's doing, or she's doing because she wants to get something, you know. I don't know what to say about the students, you know, that will offer themselves at the professor for marks because they didn't study. But the professors too should know better, because when you are caught, you're going to pay a price. You know, most of these professors is a shame because they have wives at home. You know, you have a wife. If you're not ready to get married, why marry? Nobody put a gun to your head to get married. The minute you marry, you should be faithful to your wife. If you want to have an affair outside, you must not be with your students. There are so many girls. If push comes to shove, if you have to pay for it, rather than force somebody against their will because you want to impose yourself on them. So it's vice versa. It's both ways. But thank God for the judgment. Every other professor will not take, you know. You
think they will learn?
Most of them will.
Ask the lecturer later.
Most of them will. Most of them will. Because, you know, like, it's like certain things I want to do, I cannot do because I'm a politician. You know, people invite me to certain parties. You know, I ask myself, what if? I don't go to anywhere that I cannot be proud to go. Yeah. If I do anything, I should be able to stand in public to defend myself. There are a lot of things that friends want me to do. I can't do it because I know I cannot. If you come to the public, I can't defend myself. So I think that's the same goes for the professors.
Okay.
If you found out that you slept with your student, can you defend yourself?
Okay.
You know, and if you go before a panel or a court, will you be proud to say yes, I did it? If you are not proud to say yes, you did, why will you do it?
Okay. We'll get the thought of Eyaloa. Andrew is also well traveled. You have lived outside this country too. Are you happy with this scenario that has happened? Or do you think Akindele is just unlucky, just a scapegoat?
Well, I would say Professor Richard Akindele is just a scapegoat in this issue. It's unfortunate. As we speak, that same sex harassment is still going on as we speak in the higher institution, for God's sake. When you talk about this sex issue, upgrade, look at it very well. That girl, Monica Osagi, she had 33%. And she needed an upgrade to get maybe C or D or just to leave that fail.
But she said to her, she didn't fail the course.
To her. But she had 33%. Let us agree on what she had initially. Okay. That's why she was looking for upgrade. She's not the only student in that school. That is what most girls, the weak students, that's what they do. It's just that Professor Akindele is just unfortunate to to be a scapegoat.
No, but I wouldn't even accept that. Why did he fall into it?
Fine.
Yes.
You know, women, let me tell you, the people you fear most in this world are women. If a woman is taking an irrational decision today, within a minute, she takes it, even if she's going to regret it tomorrow. If you watch the tape very well, both of them had a platonic relationship going on. I'm sure there was a little disagreement there. You see, the lecturer was saying, I will have sex 5 times before I'll grade you. You've not done one, but you are negotiating for 5 times. I'm sure something went wrong. That was not the first time they are meeting.
They're having that discussion.
That discussion. I'm sure they've been having sex before that day.
No.
I said, that's my opinion. Okay. Before that day, they might have been. So it's like, is it every time must I give you before you give me marks? Come on. Okay, you will see me. You can't do anything. Don't tell a woman that you cannot do anything. She will do something. So when you talk about all these issues, it can never stop. As we speak, it's still going on in the campus. And let me tell you, these are scrupulous and randy lecturers. I don't know if they are so myopic to that level that if you want to do sex thing with your student, it must surround, it must, rob the school setting. I've seen lecturers that eventually marry their students as wives, second wives, not even first. I've seen them. If you like a particular guy, why don't you approach her like a normal relationship? Forget about education. Some ladies or some girls, they are willing to marry lecturers, not putting something as a bargain. Yeah. If you give me this, I give you that. I mean, that's where they are getting it wrong. Okay. And I think one of the causes of this issue is that most of these lecturers, when they were going to school, most of them are antisocial. So they just concentrate on their books.
Yes.
You call them for parties, they won't come. They will see female students, they will turn their back. Knowing fully well that after your education and whatever, you are still coming to meet a woman. You better just start it now to know how to treat a woman. So it's like police work. Most boys now, they want to go into police force to wear the uniform, to legally wear the uniform and collect bribe. That is how lecturing jobs and this their pastor thing is now. You see some boys, they cannot get job. Oh, let me go and lecture. I have 2-1, or I can get my master so that I will be having access to these fine girls. Because you didn't have it when you were in school. That is one of the causes. That's why they fall into a problem. Because I cannot see any reason. If you must date a girl, there are ways you can do it. Outside the school setting, and you should be your girlfriend.
Okay, that's another angle to the discussion. Well, Edogogo is a legal practitioner, apart from being a law lecturer, so she knows it all. Now, is it possible that the counsel to Professor Akindele deceived him to change his plea, thinking he could get a plea bargain, and it didn't work because he just said she needed to teach lecturers, I think, some lessons or something like that?
The judge being a woman.
Well, the thing is that generally the law is that lecturers, they stand in a fiduciary relationship with their students. And being in that position, you are not expected to take undue advantage of your students. Yeah. That's the first position. Okay. So it means that the lecturer is in a privileged position, even if the female student is now offering herself to him willingly, or even appealing to him to please take advantage of her. Being in a fiduciary relationship, he ought to know that he should not go ahead with that kind of a relationship. So I believe the counsel to the professor, when the counsel realized that all the facts, maybe listening to the tape and all that, he had actually breached that rule of taking advantage of his student, the best was to actually plead for leniency so that his punishment will be highly reduced. I want to state that, let me just say it the way it is. It's not the way you see that majority of lecturers take advantage of students. That would be very, very unfair to students, to lecturers, because I've been a student and now I'm a lecturer for over 7 to 8 years. I want to say that, first of all, lecturers are in a fiduciary relationship with students. They should not take advantage of their students. They should not indulge in anything like sex for marks or marks for money. That is the first position. But the truth is that, first of all, students fall victims to these issues because, one, they lack enlightenment. That's the truth. If any student is well enlightened, if a lecturer approaches you, a lecturer now starts to threaten you, either you sleep with me, either you give me money or I give you marks. An enlightened student that is intelligent, that can stand on his own, that knows that yes, if I write, I will get an A in this course, has the right to walk up to any other lecturer. And the lecturer will take up that course. If the student cannot walk up to any other lecturer, you have the Student Affairs Division, which is put in place to take care of issues concerning students.
But are students not afraid that probably the dean of students will connive with the lecturer she's accusing?
That is what I'm saying now. Yeah. Students lack enlightenment.
Okay.
A student that is well enlightened should know that when she is in the right, you are talking about her right, she has the right of bodily integrity. Okay. She should not be afraid because she is in the right arm of the law. She's in the right position.
And
so first of all, students must be enlightened. And enlightened, so when I write and I know that I ought to get an A, even if I'm marked and I get a C, I can challenge it. Within the university system, there are procedures for challenging your scores. Okay. And once you write to your dean, you want your scores to be remarked, they will give it to other assessors to mark it. That is the first position. So, first of all, a student that knows she wrote very badly, she should get an F, she goes to start to tempt the lecturer. A lecturer that is largely responsible falls into the temptation. The student will not cry out because she knows that if they bring out her speech, she still has an F. But a student that has an F, an A will not, who is largely enlightened, will not fall into that temptation. That is the first position. Then the second position, students also, they put lecturers in a very difficult position. Students do not dress properly. I'm not saying it's a justification, but students do not just dress properly. And now in these days of social media, students don't read, but they want to pass. Is the problem affecting Nigeria? They want to pass by all means and any means possible, whether by money, whether by selling themselves, whichever way they can, they want to pass. They end up luring, tempting, frustrating, almost molesting the male lecturers to sleep with them and give them the score. So that is the position. But in any way, a lecturer that knows his onions, you know the rules binding you to your employment, you are not supposed to have any immoral relationship with your students. I want to say that the students on their part, they should be enlightened, they should study. A student that studies, your lecturer will not even know you. That is the thing. What business do you have going to a lecturer's office? If not that you are now having challenges.
But we hear that some lecturers will tell some students, come and see me later.
Even if the lecturer tells you to come and see you, your lecturer is like your father in the school. You should go and see him. It's only when he now starts to say things that are in aberration to his employment, you have a right as a student to report to Student Affairs Division. And to be honest, you can also report to your head of department, to any other lecturer who will take up your course. But the truth is that largely, many students are very afraid of lecturers. That is one of the greatest challenges. That they see the lecturers as demigods. They cannot talk. They feel all the other lecturers will combine together and work against them. But I want to say today on media that that is not the correct position. All lecturers are not the same. The fact that, of course, in every institution you have a few bad eggs, but you cannot use that to determine the whole lot. So if you fall into the hands of a randy lecturer as a female student, you can walk up to any other female lecturer, explain your plight. The lecturer knows what to do. And if you cannot do that, go to your Student Affairs Division. Instead of falling a victim and you start to cry, woof.
Thank you very much, Barrister Adegoke. Time is not always our friend, but we're about to leave it. Just your parting words, Bajuma.
Okay, I disagree with my lecturer a little bit because he says you could go to other lecturers. That is not true. Not in Nigeria. You go to another lecturer, they will just tell you, you better keep quiet.
No, you know what?
In most cases,
if you do, now.
But, you know, because if you do, how, you know, in the university setting, which we all know in this country, how can a friend of yours report one lecture to another, tell you keep it quiet if you know what is good for you, because if you don't, they all gang up against you.
Moreover, this issue has to do with the weak ones. Those unintelligent female students. These are the people involved in this scandal.
Okay. You said just one word, yes.
I have actually gotten involved in it, but not concerning sex for marks. Some students have had reasons to report to me on certain issues, and I followed the proper channel. I went through the right procedure to address those issues. And those students today, they are standing on their feet. Some of them have graduated. There are many lecturers you can approach. I'm saying students should remove that fear of lecturers.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think this we've had very enlightening comments onto this program. The students, I believe you have learned. Don't be afraid of lecturers. Monica Osage, the victim, actually met another woman And that's how the process started. And today, she's been vindicated. Professor Akindele has been sentenced. And that means other lecturers will learn. I want to thank Egbajumo Ogiva for coming on the program. You have been very tremendous. I want to thank Eigalua Andrew, who is the president of the Unity in Democracy, a pressure group which advocates for good governance in Nigeria. Thank you very much for your comments. And of course, the only woman in our midst who gives credence to what women can do, and that's Barrister Ebegbedu. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Your comments have been very enlightening, very, very wonderful.
Thank you.
That's the program. My name is Egosa Agulao. God willing, next week Thursday, another topic, other discussions. Have a wonderful new year. Bye-bye.